So this is the Motorola Quench XT3. This is an Android 1.6 device which Motorola calls a smartphone for beginners. So by that description, this means that this is the lower end Motorola Android phone aimed at people, consumers who actually probably never used smartphones before. So it's low priced, 150 Singapore dollars, selling if you buy it with a 2-year contract with M1. And so it's actually quite a relatively cheap phone. And so let's quickly take a very quick look at both the software and the hardware. Right, so let's start with the hardware. I'm just going to zoom right in and take a look. Right here you have a micro USB port, which is a standard among all smartphones today. So you can use one single cable to charge or transfer information, and you can share this cable among other smartphones and other micro USB devices. You got here a lanyard loop, nothing right here in the bottom. You actually put your fingernails in here to open up the battery cover. And right here you have a camera shutter button. So it's a 2-level camera shutter button. Push it all the way slightly, and you can push it all the way down. Okay, you got volume controls over here, and you have a 3.5mm headphone jack here, and you have a standby switch here which you use to turn the display on and off, as well as to shut down the device if you need to. Okay, so at the back right here you have a 3.0 megapixel camera, a 3.0 megapixel camera that cannot autofocus. It's a fixed focus 3.0 megapixel camera, as well as an LED flash. Now why I found that to be very peculiar is because while it does not have autofocus, the shutter button, like I mentioned earlier, is still a 2-level shutter button. And a 2-level shutter button is designed to allow you to push it lightly so that the camera can focus on a subject, and push it all the way down to take the picture. But since the camera cannot autofocus, I have no idea what the second, the 2-level shutter button is for. So I felt that that's a little redundant and a little misleading, I might actually add. Okay, so you got the loudspeakers over here. The phone is also upgradable by micro SD, by the way. It has a micro SD card slot inside the phone, so you need to actually open the battery cover, something that I found to be a trend lately in smartphones. But fortunately, you don't need to remove the battery or shut down the phone before you can take out the micro SD card. It's also got a 512 megabytes of internal memory, in case you're wondering. Right, on the front, you have a 3.2-inch capacitive LCD display. Now I apologize if the screen looks a little scratched up. That's because there's a plastic film on the front here. Alright, so you got the speakers, proximity sensors over here, touch sensitive controls. Alright, and these controls are Android controls. So you have the menu button, the home button, search and back. You have hang up and call, and these buttons actually light up when you charge. And you have a trackball, which you can use to scroll around or push it in to select. So this is the same kind of trackball that you would actually find on the Google Nexus 1, or some of the older, the first generation Android phones that you found in the past. So the microphone is here, and I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but the display is a HVGA display. So HVGA means that the resolution for this display is 320 pixels by 240 pixels, which is quite a standard for low-end, entry-level Android devices. So let's take a look at the software then. So hit the standby key, push the menu button to unlock. So this is Android 1.6. There's no news whether it's going to be upgradable to 2.0, 2.1, or even 2.2. And to be honest, I don't think it will be upgradable because it is a very low-end device after all. But nevertheless, it's interesting to go find out if it happens. Alright, and so this is what you have, a normal widget screen on Android. And if you notice, this is actually a custom user interface by Motorola. Now, I'm not sure if you heard of it before, but Motorola has a custom user interface known as Moto Blur. So what I have right here is a Motorola backflip running on Moto Blur. You can see the Moto Blur icons and the buttons and controls. But this is not Moto Blur. I have no idea what this actually is. This is, as far as I'm concerned, this is the first time I've seen it, and it's got a lot more glossy, cutesy buttons actually. So you see that they've changed the icon for a lot of the default applications to look a little bit more cutesy. Alright, and even the widgets, some of the widgets, you can take a look here. The calendar looks a little bit glossy and cute as well. So you've seen the menu already, and now I'm going to show you the notification panel. So you have here the notification panel. You get the same stuff, right? Email, new SMSs, instant messaging, and stuff like that. But there's actually an extra tab on the Motorola Quench XT3, which is the system tab, which I thought was kind of cool. So they actually show you details of the battery. You can actually see your battery life in 10 bars instead of, whatever, how many bars you can see up here. You can see the date, signal strength. They explain it to you in English words, so middle or high. You can see Wi-Fi strength, and if you're actually on 3G, it will actually be able to tell you the upload rate and the download speed as well, which I thought was very, very cool. Bluetooth, GPS, as well as Bluetooth and GPS. You can turn them on and off from here, and they'll tell you whether it's on and off. So I thought this is actually kind of cool. It gives you a lot of information in terms of what's going on the phone. Okay, so let's go into some of the applications and take a look at what this phone actually has. So this right here, this is your standard, your standard Google Android browser. So you can see right here. Maybe let's see if I can go to new window. Alright, so you can see this is a pretty standard, what do you actually find on any Android phone. And so I'm just gonna go to Straits Times and hopefully be able to show you. Alright, not Straits Times, maybe my own personal website, and you can see there is multi-touch zoom. Alright, you can actually zoom it in and out like just like any standard Android browser. Do note that this is Android 1.6 again, so just thought I want to mention that. Okay, the other thing that you might want to be interested at looking at is the keyboard. Alright, by the way, you notice right here, Documents to Go comes with the device, but this is a Documents to Go viewer, so you can view Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint presentations. You need to go to the Google Android store, the marketplace, to actually pay to upgrade the application if you want to edit any documents. So let's go to the Notepad application. So you can see I've been playing with it already. Add a new note, and you can see right here this is a QWERTY keyboard. Let's see if I can actually zoom it in. Alright, it's a standard QWERTY keyboard, so the quick brown fox. So you can see it's actually not too bad. Whoops, let me just slide that back. Fox jumps. It's not perfect, but no keyboard is. So it does predictive, and it does auto correction as well. You got to turn some of the things on and off through the settings, which you can find by pressing and holding this particular button. But otherwise, it's not too bad. But some of you might actually want to prefer something else. So if you actually flick the keyboard, they will actually change the keyboard to something else. And this is the what you find on a normal mobile phone. And personally, I think the performance for this particular keyboard is better than the QWERTY one. So, the Fox. Oops, sorry, typo. So you can see it's I did a little typo up there, but it's actually quite okay, and some of you will actually prefer this one. And of course they got another one, which is this little keyboard here, 2 keys in one kind of keyboard. Alright, so and of course like any Android phone, you can actually just rotate it, and you can actually have a portrait keyboard as well. I'm sorry, a landscape keyboard, and all the applications can actually rotate, the web browser as well. So that's the keyboard. You saw the web browser. Now let's go take a look at the camera, which is right here, which it's actually quite a standard camera application, except that when you push it lightly, like I mentioned earlier, there's no autofocus, but it still does that green line and the beep sound, which I have no idea what it's doing, since it doesn't have to, it's not capable of autofocusing. Maybe it's trying to adjust exposure, but I am not really very sure. And it also does video as well. So if you actually slide it upwards, it'll switch to the video application for you to take videos. So back to the camera application. It's got this little bar right here, which when you push it this way, it makes the screen brighter, and when we go this way, it makes it lower. So that's probably the exposure controls. Alright, so that's the camera. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is for this particular smartphone for beginners, the Motorola Quench XT3. Very basic Motorola Android 1.6 phone. Again, it is now available with M1. If you buy it with a 2-year contract in Singapore, you can get it at 150 Singapore dollars. So that was the Motorola Quench XT3. If you want to watch more videos like the one you just watched, www.tech65.org. That's the website that you want to see. And I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys really soon.